everybody, welcome back to my channel. I don't normally post videos like this, mostly because I just don't want to cause a rift in this YouTube family. Most of you know that I'm a Christian. I consider myself a Christian in America, not an American Christian. For those of you who don't know, the difference is American Christians tend to be very conservative and forget what Christianity is all about, in my opinion. I am a Christian in America. I follow Jesus Christ and his teachings. I was raised Catholic, and I was taught, because I had these questions. I had questions to my teachers when I was growing up that if they didn't write the Bible down for all of these years, like some thousands of years, how did they know what to write? Wouldn't that be like the world's oldest, longest game of telephone? Things can be reinterpreted and misinterpreted, and some words and languages don't have a proper translation. I'm saying this all to you tonight because I was told then that the Bible, and I was raised with a Catholic Bible, the Bible was written by God, written by men, but inspired by God. I was told that it is the Word of God, but that it was written down as he sent his message through the people. As I got older and I was taking catechism classes, and what that means is I became a catechist. I was taught to be a catechism teacher, which is basically, if you're not aware, it is the sort of Sunday school of Catholicism. There is a book called the Catholic Catechism, and it is basically the book that we as Catholics used to interpret what the Bible is supposed to mean in our everyday lives, and what the rules that we, or the church has set forth, and so forth. It was actually at my catechism class that I realized how fallible the Bible can be in its exact words. Now, I say this, and I'm not trying to start an argument. I would just like you to all listen to me, and then we can discuss it if you're interested in having a real discussion. Just listen to me for a second. The words in the Bible are not concrete in my mind, because one, if they were, there wouldn't be so many translations. The translations wouldn't differ so much. The red letters themselves are usually pretty exact from translation to translation, which is basically Jesus's words. But there are different things that different writers and different editors of the Bible decided that they would and would not put in their version. That's where I feel that it is fallible. I've always looked at it like a guidebook. You have a lot of people who argue about the Old Testament being like the rules, but then the New Testament, also has rules. But then there are people who say the New Testament, Jesus said, like, everything that was before me. And there's this whole, like, two hands about it. Like, I guess you can use any material to argue your point. Oh, I didn't think I was recording. I'm sorry. You can use any material to fit your argument. But that's where I feel like, look, what I've always done is I've taken the teachings of Jesus. The teachings of Jesus, which vary very little from writer to writer to translation. A lot of other stuff is moved and related and pulled out, and what the original Old Testament says, and what religion branch doesn't use that, all those books, and it's just very confusing. I want to have this conversation for quite a few reasons tonight. First of all, I want to show that I'm wearing my Pride headband. I got it at Pride, even though I think it's from the hula section of the Dollar Tree. But specifically, I want to wear it tonight because it has 5 flowers on it. And if you're not aware, someone stormed into an LGBTQ plus bar and shot the place up. And it killed 5 people. 5 souls are no longer on this planet because of hate and intolerance. Stay with me. Let me finish. 18 people were injured. I do know that people who were working there were also killed and so forth and injured. So not everybody that was killed and injured may or may not have been. People who were killed or injured may or may not have been part of the LGBTQ plus IA plus community. I say this because I myself, as a cis heterosexual female, have been in gay clubs plenty of times with my friends who are gay. When I was actually 16, I got snuck into a gay bar in Manhattan by my friend Victor, who was an entertainer. He was a gay man who dressed up as Marilyn Monroe and Madonna, and he was amazing at it. He is still an amazing artist. He's a beautiful soul and a beautiful human being. And I would go to him to these performances as his assistant, and then he would like take me out afterwards because he was all like Marilyn Monroe up, and why not? Let's hit the town. So I know that not everybody in a gay bar is necessarily a part of the community. Some are just allies. And an ally is somebody who considers themselves heterosexual and supports LGBTQIA plus community. I have been an ally for longer than I can remember. You know, we talk a lot about, like, I always tell everybody it's been since I'm 15 when a family member came out to me. But really, if I go back even further, the people that I was drawn to on my mom's softball league teams were the lesbians. I felt very tomboyish, and they were just women who really emulated the things that I liked in myself. And it made me feel like, oh, she's a woman. She's a grown woman like my mom and I was drawn to these women not knowing their sexual orientation at the time because I was young. But these were the women, all of the women on the team, these were the women that I was drawn to. So I say I've been an ally longer than I can remember. There is a lot of discussion about what's biblical and what's not. What's an abomination, what's intolerated, what's tolerable and what's intolerable. I will tell you, if you want to reach into the rules of the Old Testament, there are plenty of rules in Leviticus. We can argue them till the cows come home, because there are things in there that we find to be an abomination these days, like rape and ancestry and selling slaves and all this stuff, things that we would never even consider reconsidering at this point. But a sticking point for a lot of really conservative Christians is the Leviticus. Man should not lie with man as it lies with woman. And we all have learned not we all have learned, a lot of people it's come to light that the original interpretation was man shall not lie with child. So basically the word for pedophile was in there. And in the 50s, they changed it to homosexual. So it's not even something that was in the Bible even 100 years ago. That all being said, the 10 biggest rules before the Great Commandment are the 10 Commandments. And they are a big, giant one. Number 6 is thou shalt not kill. 4, 6 is adultery, I think. Anyway, regardless, my brain just went. because the Catholic version of the Ten Commandments is different than the standard Christian or the New King James version, because we do have pictures of Christ and statues of Christ and Mary and stuff. So there is that whole graven images part that's not in the Catholic version of the Ten Commandments. Just want to let you know right off the bat, right there, how they're very different. So thou shalt not kill. Big one. It's big one. It's one of the top 10. Justifying killing in God's name or in Jesus' name, to me, is absurd. Because first of all, who do you think you are? If you truly do believe that homosexuality is an abomination, okay, believe that. You are not God. An abomination is supposed to be smited by God. It's supposed to be handled by Him, not by people. We're told as people to not kill each other. And so much killing has been done in the church's name, in Christ's name. Every time I hear about a war that was a religious war, my heart weeps and I see Jesus's face with just tears pouring down his face. Because truly, 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 I know that is not at all his message. He was crucified with a thief, and just things that were like, just things that he forgave. If you believe that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, he forgave her, and that's what it's really all about. And it's not for us to judge how often someone sins and when we can stop forgiving them. Now, if you don't want to let them in your life because they're a toxic personality to you, or a toxic, they spread negativity towards you, that's a whole different story. We're not going to talk about that, because that's each individual person. If you choose to let someone go from your life for whatever reason, however, condemning them to hell, one thing, is not on us. I want to say to these people, who the hell do you think you are, taking these matters into your own hands? It is just the most ridiculous thing made in my Jesus' name. And all that's been happened here in the last 8 to 10 years, 12 to 14 years, since 2020, since the 2000s, has just been hate. The hate is growing. The hate is growing worse and worse. As people become more of themselves and they're allowed to be themselves freely, finally, the hate for them is grown exponentially. Whether it's about the LGBTQIA+, whether it's about being a different, sorry, my eyeball just really got itchy. Whether it's being a different political party, having different beliefs, being a different religion, being a different kind of Christian, for heaven's sakes. Even Christians amongst themselves are arguing about what's the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. It's just insane to me. And I don't try so hard not to judge people and their intelligence. I don't, because people can get brainwashed. Even the smartest people can get brainwashed. If the person brainwashing them is charming enough. This is what they tell us in Revelations, that the second coming, he will be charming. He'll be a sweet talker. These people will love him. He'll have his brain, like all of these things that they tell you. This is one of the things that we're supposed to look out for. So to sit there and listen to this constant hate is just unbelievably insane to me. Now, a few years ago, when my channel wasn't quite where it is now, I did make a video on being an ally and about my LGBTQ+ people in my family and in my circle, and how proud I was to support them in every way. And one of the people who was really closest to me said, I love this video. I am so proud to be your sister. But I don't think you should post it because there'll be backlash you don't need right now. But being stage 4 renal cell carcinoma, having cancer, I'm not caring as much about whatever happens. If I wake up tomorrow and have 1 follower, I don't care. It's hard to have a platform and not to be able to say what I want to say and say what I think is right and what I think is wrong. I had a live stream this morning on the vlog channel. I'm trying to live stream every Sunday morning, a little live coffee chat on the vlog channel. If you're interested in joining, like, this main channel has been mostly, Dollar Tree hauls and Dollar Tree DIYs and crafting and organizing and those types of things. Over there, we just talk. We get together, get to know each other, just like this, but like more on a personal level. So I started live streaming chats, coffee chats on Sunday mornings. This morning I had a live chat, and we were talking about crystals. We went to a really great event this weekend, and I had a wonderful time. And we were talking about crystals and herbs, and we were talking about, different religions and how they can get along, but they sometimes don't. And somebody mentioned in the comments, and it was held for review, so I don't have the comment there anymore. But what I'm saying is not biblical. Mm-hmm. True. Because there is nothing about that in the Bible. But you know what is in the Bible? If we want to get technical, that you shouldn't have the milk of an animal with the animal. So cheeseburgers are out. Cheeseburgers are bad. Can't have cheeseburgers. It's like an American standard. Nope, no cheeseburgers. Nope. And I think that people just really need to think before they speak. Think about what you're learning. Where did you learn the information about how to interpret what's in the Bible? Did you learn it from a preacher who is just a man? Did you learn it from a preacher who is just a man who has faults and fallibilities? And where did he learn it from? Did he learn it from preachers before him? Did he learn it from teachers at biblical college? Did he learn it from his family? Did he learn it from his experience? And then he's all going ahead teaching it to you. And I will tell you, there's a lot of things about being Catholic that I didn't like growing up. These like steadfast rules and these types of things. But there's so much about it that I love. And that I loved and I still love to this day. One of them is that they know that the information can or cannot be fallible. Yes, this is what it says. This is what it was taught. But if you just go back like 1,000 years, that's all you need to go back. You don't have to go back like to Jesus's actual time. Just go back half the way. How was it written then? What was written down at the time? How was it interpreted? Who interpreted it? Who wrote it from what text? There is a lot of things that are happening in this country that are so questionable in my mind. There is a lot of argument to be made for like the founding fathers when they created this nation, and yes, they were Christian, but they weren't all Christian. And they weren't all different kinds. They were all different kinds of Christians. The ones that were Christian were all different kinds of Christians. But it was not created to be a Christian nation, despite what everybody tells you. It was created for people to express their religious freedoms. That's why we have freedom of speech. That's why we have freedom of the press. That's why we have these freedoms. That's why we have this free slaves. We have the free Emancipation Proclamation. Why we have all of these things? Because we're supposed to be a free nation. Now, when they wrote it down 500 years ago or 300, and I don't know why I just got 500 years ago. Sorry. When they wrote it down 260 years ago, 250 years ago, Jerry. Just do math. It's not fine. It's almost 250 years. They didn't have the civility. They didn't have the knowledge that we have today. That all human beings are created equal, regardless of your sex or your gender or your sexual orientation or your color or your creed or your disability or your ability, whether you're a genius or whether you have a developmental delay, whether you were born with 3 arms and no hands, were you born with, 10 fingers and 10 toes, 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, like however you were created, we're all created equally. And that's part of the United States of America. There are places that are intolerant right now. They're in Iraq. They're having all of this like religious extremist. And it's funny because I hear a lot of very conservative Christians who are bashing their religious, the religious extremists that's happening in Iran, but don't realize that they're doing it themselves here in America. I am going to title this video appropriately because if you don't want to hear any of this, you shouldn't watch. But I encourage you to. I encourage you to listen. I encourage you to hear me, to think, to push against what you were learned. What you were taught or what you learned. To learn beyond what you've learned. I've learned a lot of science that actually debunks religion. However, that's where faith comes in hand. That's where faith comes to me. There is metaphysicals, there's science, there's religion, but they all have faith. Science has proof, metaphysics has faith and proof, and our religion, our Christianity has faith. And people say, oh, you could prove it because I saw this miracle. No, you don't know what that miracle could have been from science. That miracle could have been from metaphysics. You just, the difference is your faith, is that you believe it to be so. And I don't understand why it is that I can't call myself a Christian in your eyes. Not your eyes, not everybody's eyes. But why are some that I can't call myself a Christian and believe that peppermint will help me sleep? Ease a sore throat or a stomach, or that magnets are not the only powerful metal out there, or mineral. Sorry, I meant to say mineral, not metal. Magnets are not the only powerful mineral out there. There are plenty of other ones that are filled with energy, and energy that is scientifically proven. Now, if you want to believe that this energy helps you, then go ahead. Some people believe that this tiny little wafer that's made in a factory and blessed by a priest is now the body of Jesus Christ, because it's about faith. It's about what you believe. And it's about what your practice is and where your faith lies. When I started going to the Christian church here, they use little tiny crackers, like little square crackers, as the body of Christ, and little tiny cups of grape juice. I help prep the communion, so I know the boxes of crackers came from the box of crackers, and I know that the bottle of juice came from the bottle of juice because I'm the one to put them in the little tiny cups. But what it is it's faith. It's the symbolism. It's what it means to you. So we're not going to keep doing this in my channel. We're not going to keep attacking each other, our different viewpoints. Starting today, I'm pointing out the fact to you that this is, and always will be from now on, a safe space. I have always tried to make it a safe space before, but I was much more tolerable of people's hatred. I wanted to educate them. I wanted to clarify some things that they had misconceptions about. But for now, I'm telling you from today on, safe space. If you have anything hateful or derogatory to say, if you have anything contradictory or argumentative to say, and the tone in which you say it is definitely going to be one of those things that's going to get you booted. I am sorry if it upsets you. If you have questions, obviously, Jerry, I'm just curious. What did your teacher teach you about X, Y, and Z? I'm happy to answer that. I'm happy to answer that. Jerry, I am just curious. What do you think the Catholic Church feels about these things? I'm happy to answer that the best of my ability. You know, in the Catholic Church, they use incense. I know other churches do too, but the Catholic Church uses incense. Not only during funerals and weddings, but they do it at every, if a church can afford it, they do it at every communion, every time they do communion. There's ritual, just like certain other religions. There's ritual. There are stones. There are crystals. There is wood. There is things that we use. They use flowers. They use herbs. They use all kinds of different things. They use anointed oil, blessed oil. They use blessed oil. They use blessed water. So if I want to ask a priest to bless this water, or I want to bless this water by the moonlight, because I don't believe in that particular priest's religion, what do you care? It's not hurting you. Okay? It's not. If someone falls in love with someone of the same sex, what does that matter to you? It doesn't make your marriage any less valid. It's not sinful. In my eyes, it's not sinful. We try as Christians to make it sinful by not allowing these people to be married, and now they're having to have sexual adultery outside of marriage, which basically sex outside of marriage is adultery. Now we're making them have to do that. So we're making them that. Now, I've told you this before. I have friends who are homosexual who are celibate. Tim Gunn from Project Runway has said many times that he's celibate, but he is definitely a gay man. He is attracted to men. He would only have intercourse with men if that was, if he was going to have it again. But he's celibate right now. Is the sin any different? Is it the thought that's the sin? I mean, there's all this argument. We could sit here for like hours and hours and just discuss this. But what it all comes down to is, I am a Christian. That doesn't mean you have to be. This is a free country, free from religious persecution. If you want to be a Muslim, an agnostic, an atheist, a pagan, a Wiccan, a Jew, a Sikh, not a Sikh, it's a Hindu, a Hindi. If you want to be a Catholic or a Baptist or a Pentecostal or a Protestant or a Presbyterian or a Unitarian, if you want to be any of those things, it's your freedom. It's your right. It's your right to do so as you wish. We've had two Catholic presidents in the history of the United States, and both of them were liberal. And as far as the religions are concerned, probably outside of being an Hasidic Jew, Catholics probably got the most rules, the most do's and don'ts, the most rights and wrongs, the most stringent sort of, don't walk outside the lines type of thing. But they're also the most charitable. And I don't speak from personal experience. I'm just saying as an organization in whole. I'm going to step down off my soapbox here in a second. But I just want you to know that none of this changes how I feel about you. I still love each and every one of you. Whether you're tolerant or intolerant, whether you're angry or happy, whether this video solidifies everything you've ever thought or disenchants everything that you believed, that doesn't make a difference to me. Whether you're a good person at heart or not, Jesus calls us to love each other. The great commandment in different versions is, I am your God, treat others as you would treat me, or treat your neighbor as you treat yourself, or do unto others as you've done unto me, or do unto others as you've done unto yourself. depending on exactly where you read it and how, that's the great commandment. Faith, love, and hope, and the greatest of these is love. Remember that. Jesus calls us to love unconditionally. Whoever you're sleeping with, whatever job you quit, whatever homelessness, whatever addiction you have, we're called to love. I love you. I want you to know that. It's very, very important that I'm looking directly into the camera at whoever's looking back at the TV and telling you that I love you. And if nobody's told you today that you're loved, please always pop by on one of my videos and just hear me tell you how much you are loved by me. The world needs you. That God that you believe in felt it as important to make you as he did Mount Everest. Okay? Remember that. As always, you take care. God bless, whichever God you believe in. And we'll see you next time. Bye.